Pixel art is fun. Let's face it. It looks really cool. Plus, it gives this very nostalgic Nintendo-y feel to it. But one thing is very important when you are designing icons or images with pixel art is it has to be accurate. And you got to make sure that it's super tight because this is something that's generated by computers. I want to show you in this video how to create pixel art in Adobe Illustrator. I'm in Adobe Illustrator and I have an artboard created here that has 3 icons on it. And these are just traditional, stroke-based icons. And what we want to do is recreate these, but the pixel version of them. Remember, that's what we're going for. And accuracy is a huge thing here. So let's go to View, come down here and go Show Grid. What you're going to see is a very faint grid in the background there. And this is going to help us fill in these blocks there. But we also want to go to View, scroll down, and say Snap to Grid. And what this is going to do is it's going to ensure that every shape that you create or every path is connected to this grid. Choose your rectangle tool and just drag over any shape, and you can see how it just jumps and makes sure it connects to edges of those squares or that grid that lives beyond your artboard. And this is exactly what we want to create, very accurate pixel artwork. Go ahead and delete that here, and we'll choose our rectangle tool again. And we're just gonna basically drag out our stroke base here. Rather than creating just a whole bunch of blocks, what we do is just drag our rectangle tool out to create that stroke for our document. Now, one thing to note here as well, we reached this point where we have to create something on a 45-degree angle. 45s look a little bit different when it is pixel art. They're gonna be almost like little blocks that make up this angled piece. So when you are creating your angles, it's got to look like this, and you'll see that in a moment. Now, there are instances where you might just get something that is super chunky, and we're going to see that here when we put that overlap. And you could create something like this, or you could do without it, and I think it does the job like this as well. So I'm going to leave that there. Let's go over to our house. Again, hit M, drag it across our grid here. Let's make this side of the house. Let's make the other side of the house. And now we'll create our steeple effect. It might not be that exact same angle, but there are ways that we can kind of mock that. So the first thing we want to do is make sure that this tip that we have here is actually centered here. And if you dropped a cube over here, it's not exactly centered. So we're gonna have to make sure that we move our blocks over and reshape things accordingly. And here we go. Let's push this up. And if you ever get an instance where you're moving these blocks around and you get something like this that happens where it's kind of off the grid, all you have to do is select that path and use your keyboard to nudge it into place, and you'll be back on your grid. Let's zoom out a little bit, double this one up, double this one up, drag it out, maybe drag this one out, bring another one here, and then that one there. And there we go. Let's drag another block here. Let's use our rectangle tool to create the door. And maybe we put a little thing at the top here, nudge that into place. Maybe we want to go a bit thicker on the top here. And you can make these the points there. That looks pretty cool. I like that. Now moving on to the circle. Now when you are creating a clock, you are basically going to be creating a box with a soft edge to it, but a soft edge in pixel form. So choose M again and create these sides. And once you have these 2 sides created, let's select them, hit Command C, Command F, and then just rotate it. And then we'll take our rectangle tool again and fill in these little blocks around it. And here's where you have something that does resemble a circle, but just looks super low resolution. Now right away, I'm seeing here that if I put my minute and hour hand in here, it's not gonna be centered. Let me see what happens here. Yeah, look at that, it's not centered. That's cool. Let's simply nudge things over here. I'm gonna select this edge here, and I'm just gonna tab it over. Now it's in the center, so I can now bring this over like that. And what we could do is also select this lower half. I'm gonna choose my white arrow to select this lower half pixels, and I'm gonna nudge that down as well. Move it up a bit, and here we go. Now nudge these down. And there you can turn off your grid and take a look and see that your icons look pretty good, especially without the grid. But what if you wanted it to be a little bit more detailed? This is really chunky right now. What if you wanted it to be a little less chunky and a little bit more refined? Like, for instance, what if you wanted to put that little fold at the edge of this piece of paper? We can make that a little bit more detailed. I'm going to create another artboard here. I'm just going to drag it out. And I'm going to copy this, paste it onto my new artboard. And you're going to use your white arrow tool just to make this look a little bit more refined and more detailed. I'm going to hit A, select this half of the shape, and then I'm going to nudge it over. Remember, it's snapping to my grid here, so I should be good. I'm going to get a little bit closer. I'm going to choose this lower half here. I'm going to nudge this one out a bit more too. And now I can actually add a little bit more here. I can make this a bit smaller. Maybe I'll go even farther here. Bring this down. Nudge that into place. And here's where I get something a little bit more detailed. Look at this. There we go. Test your artwork there. Looks really good. I hope so. So there you have it. This is my process for creating pixel art in Adobe Illustrator. I'd love to hear, is this the same way that you do it? Have you ever created pixel stuff in Adobe? And do you have any suggestions that you'd like to share with us? Please leave it in the comments. Happy to chat about that. Thank you so much for joining me. Like and subscribe. Don't forget that stuff. I need that. Thank you. And stay creative. Bye, everybody.